The story takes place in a dense forest where a secret base is hidden. No one knows that a group of drug criminals are producing white goods day and night. Unexpectedly, the anti-drug agency has soon determined their location. The soldiers acted quickly to capture the entire gang. However, a quantity of poison produced by the criminals accidentally leaked into the river in the forest, then flowed into the nearby swamp. The crocodiles in the river were poisoned and mutated into terrifying monsters. The female-led Eli had just lost her brother in an accident. She decided to carry out his last wishes to go down to the sacred river, accompanied by her best friend Lisa, when her brother's ex-girlfriend Jennifer. Hearing the news, she immediately expressed her desire to go with the desire to say goodbye to her lover for the last time, but the irony was that not long after Eli's brother passed away, Jennifer had a new lover, a black guy. This made Eli uncomfortable at all. She didn't even want to see Jennifer. But because of her limited finances, she couldn't rent a decent car, and Jennifer had just bought a new car, so Eli had to let them go with her. So the four of them set out to the island. The whole way, the atmosphere in the car was extremely stifling. Eli was saddened by the loss of her brother Lisa and worried about her mother's gambling addiction, which had squandered all her wealth, forcing her to drop out of school and go to work in debt. Because of the island, it was located in a remote area. They had gone on the second day and still hadn't arrived when they stopped at a gas station that Eli saw on the front page. The newspaper had news about crocodiles attacking humans. An old man in Thegus station advised her that as long as she didn't go into the water, she would be safe. Hearing that, Jennifer urged Eli to get in the car and leave. After a while, Jennifer suddenly said that she had a surprise gift for everyone. It turned out that she'd booked a small plane in advance to be able to get to the island faster, but no one was happy because even the black guy knew that Eli was afraid of heights and hated flying, but Jennifer didn't care. In addition to their group, there were 5 other strangers on the flight. After takeoff, a businessman kept calling on the phone, making the other passengers uncomfortable. An old man sitting behind couldn't stand it, so he raised his fist to gently remind them. But unexpectedly, with just that slight collision, the plane shook violently. Immediately, then the captain announced that engine number 1 had a problem and engine number 2 was on fire. He broke out in a cold sweat. Knowing that there was no other choice but to make an emergency landing, but then all engines were completely lost. The radio communication was also broken and could not send a distress signal. The plane flew quickly toward the river. Eli woke up to find herself lying in the river. Fortunately, the plane landed in water that was not too deep. Lisa ran to pull her to the shore. The others also got on one by one. The plane was broken into many pieces. When checking again, they found the old man and the co-pilot missing the captain. Calling out to find someone, Eli also waded into the river to find the box for her brother's remains, while the co-pilot was still nowhere to be found, fearing that it would be difficult to keep her life. Lisa suggested waiting for rescue, but the captain's face suddenly changed. It turned out, this plane had no official flight registration, which meant it had no black box, which meant no one knew about its existence. That meant no rescue team would come to rescue them, and moreover, they were stuck in a desolate swamp, an uninhabited area where no one had passed by. The situation was even worse when they had no food, no place, so Uncle An had to quickly think of a way to escape from here. Fortunately, the captain had the ability to navigate the preliminary. He suggested that everyone go north. The furthest place was only about 40 kilometers, and help could be found. Eli suggested collect valuables first, while Lisa heard strange sounds from the forest. Out of curiosity, she quietly left the group and discovered a nest of crocodile eggs. Remembering Jennifer's words, crocodile eggs are very expensive, Lisa immediately thought of the family's debt. Without hesitation, she secretly took the crocodile eggs and put them in her backpack and returned to the group. At this time, the captain checked the items they had collected. They found 5 cell phones, but as expected, there was no signal, so it was useless. Suddenly, they discovered the co-pilot's body floating on the surface of the water. The captain immediately jumped down to save Eli, and the black guy also jumped in boots. Soon as they swam to the middle of the river, a giant crocodile appeared and used the famous death spiral. The three quickly returned to shore. Ely, with his deep biological knowledge, was extremely curious about this creature. There's definitely a nest here because they're extremely territorial. Now, the most important thing is to get out of here as quickly as possible. The captain signaled to the north. The group immediately lined up and set off one by one, while the mother crocodile returned to the nest to find there was only one egg left. Its sanger made it, let out a low growl, signaling the danger that was lurking. On the other side, the group continued, moving without realizing it was dark. Everyone was tired and suggested resting. Ely suggested camping right there and lit a fire to keep warm when she tried to take the lighter from Lisa's backpack. She noticed that the other party deliberately avoided her, as if he didn't want anyone to touch his luggage. Not long after, the group sat around the fire chatting, unaware of the approaching danger. As night fell, each person gradually fell into sleep. A man in the group woke up to go to the bathroom and suddenly heard the phone ringing. He was extremely excited when he realized there was still a signal in this place. In his haste to pick up the phone, it fell to the ground. He immediately bent down to pick it up. But at that moment, a crocodile rushed and bit his head tightly. When people discovered his body in the morning, it was torn to the point that the flesh and blood were mixed. The captain recounted a legend that the crocodiles in this area had incredible speed and a diabolical way of attacking. They not only killed for food, but also for the pleasure of hunting. While the group was discussing the next direction, the girl Lisa discovered a house on the mountainside in the distance. The whole group unanimously moved toward the house, crossing the dangerous forest leading the group. The old woman walked cautiously. Suddenly, Ely heard a strange sound of low breathing echoing. In the air, she immediately signaled the whole group to stop and listen more carefully. After determining the source of the sound, she pointed to the bushes, warning that there might be crocodiles lurking nearby. Ely reminded everyone to stand close together because crocodiles usually don't attack targets larger than themselves. While the group was still discussing how to deal with the old woman who was standing far away from everyone was suddenly pulled away by a crocodile. Everything happened so fast that no one had time to react before a series of other crocodiles appeared gradually, narrowing the encirclement. The group ran away in panic, luckily found a wooden house and quickly got inside. But before they could close the door, a woman was bitten by a crocodile on the ankle. Thanks to their close coordination, they finally separated the crocodile from her. It was gradually dark outside. The wooden house became strangely quiet. Looking through the gap, they were unexpectedly witnessing a horrifying scene. The crocodiles were turning to attack each other. However, outside, the crocodiles were still lurking in the dark, waiting for an opportunity to attack. The next morning, the black man rummaged through the drawer of the wooden house and found a map. According to the information on the map, it was only about 4 kilometers away to reach a factory where help could be found. However, the captain was skeptical. He had never heard of a factory in this area. He even suspected that this was a fake map. But Ely and the black man did not want to give up hope. They decided to try their luck. Jennifer thought that leaving the wooden house was too dangerous. She thought that staying here was safer than being chased by the crocodiles. But if they stayed there without food, they would die sooner or later. The captain decided to let the group vote. The results showed that only Jennifer wanted to stay, while all the others chose to continue the journey. Before leaving, Ely reminded everyone that if unfortunately they encountered a crocodile, run away immediately. Absolutely do not turn back. If it caught them, hithered on the nose or poked the eyes, that was their only weak point, but all must be done before being dragged into the water. After listening to the instructions, the captain opened the door to lead the group out of the wooden house. Fortunately, there were no crocodiles appearing nearby on the way. The group encountered a river blocking the way to get to the factory. They had to cross it, however. Wading across the river was too dangerous. In a state of confusion, Ely suggested building a raft with tree trunks in the forest. Lisa was worried that she might be attacked by a crocodile while crossing the river. But Eli reassured Anne that it had rained last night and crocodiles could not regulate their body temperature, so it was very likely that they were hiding somewhere to cool off temporarily and would not appear. The group immediately set to work with the goal of leaving before sunset. The injured woman could only sit on the side and watch everyone work. After a period of effort, the raft was quickly completed. When the group was about to leave, Eli suddenly realized that the urn for his brother's remains was still on the shore. The black men immediately turned back to get it, but at that moment, a crocodile suddenly appeared. The group was extremely panicked. 2 crocodiles slowly entered the water towards them. This time, the woman with an injured ankle seemed to have made a decision. She looked at her husband one last time and jumped into the water. She did not want to involve everyone because of her inconvenience in moving, so she decided to use her buddy to attract the crocodiles, creating an opportunity for the others to escape. The husband also understood his wife's intention. The group was in silence for a short time. They reached the factory marked on the map. When they entered, they discovered many shells on the ground. The captain said that these were specialized bullets of the special forces. Moreover, on the map, normally there is no location of this factory. He suspected that this place could be a secret drug production facility and had been surrounded by the anti-drug force. Then Jennifer shouted loudly into the factory to find out if anyone was still alive. But unexpectedly, her scream immediately attracted the attention of the crocodiles outside. The captain warned her to be careful, but she completely ignored his words. This made the captain extremely angry. Immediately afterwards, the captain suggested that the group split up to search for rescue tools inside the factory. When there were only 2 people left, he continued to warn Jennifer not to act arbitrarily, but she was still stubborn and ignored his warning. This made the captain completely angry, forcing the girl to apologize repeatedly. At that moment, a crocodile suddenly appeared on the head of the captain. The remaining 3 people promptly came to the rescue and pulled Jennifer up to safety. But the captain unfortunately died without having time to grieve. The group continued to find a way to escape, while at that time they accidentally entered a basement and discovered countless crocodiles sleeping. Eli saw a room opposite with a radio communication. If they could safely cross this area, they could contact for rescue. The group carefully moved through the crocodile territory. Eli was the first one to enter the safe room, but at crucial moments, someone always ruined everything. The black guy was the one who went to the end. He accidentally tripped over a crocodile egg and made a noise. This woke the crocodiles up when he turned back. To check the situation, his eyes and the crocodile accidentally met. The group hurriedly closed the door to prevent the crocodile from rushing in. Meanwhile, Eli had successfully contacted the rescue team via radio. Now they needed to leave the factory and find a recognizable place to wait. The rescue team arrived. After a while, the outside finally became quiet, and they decided to leave this place to find a more recognizable place. Eli found a gun in the room, but when they opened the door, they found that the crocodiles had not left, but were just waiting outside. When the group was tense and worried, the girl realized a serious problem. She suspected that the reason the crocodiles kept following them non-stop might be because they wanted to save their children. So she stepped in front of the crocodile, took the crocodile egg out of her backpack, and placed it in front of the crocodile. "This is for you." The others could only watch as her hand was bitten off by the crocodile, and immediately fired a few shots at the crocodile, while the other 2 took the opportunity to pull the girl Lisa out. At this time, Eli had to face the ferocious crocodile. Alone, as if the gun had run out of bullets, he quickly made a slide close to the ground and stuck a wooden stick straight into the crocodile's eye, causing it to lose its direction. Eli took the opportunity to run out the door. He pushed a bucket of flammable chemicals towards the crocodile, then lit it and threw it into the flames. The fire flared up fiercely, burning the crocodile. The group was lucky to escape the factory. They to a bridge to wait for the rescue team. When seeing the helicopter coming, they finally breathed a sigh of relief. Then Eli went to Deserted Island to release his brother's bones to the river to fulfill his last wish. So the entire content of the 2025 British horror film The Swamp has ended. Overall, Although the film has many controversial points, compared to recent low-budget horror films, it still has enough appeal to keep the audience watching. At least the plot is still coherent, tense, and tight. The film ends with a surprising post-credits scene where the captain is still alive. Although he was once swallowed by a crocodile, it seems that the director is planning to make a sequel. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video.